this. Are we doing this? Are we just throwing it in? Carrots.
Julie, you have to cut those or shred them.
This is a culinary technique I learned.
YouTuber Jenna Marbles and her husband have two frightening encounters at their Los Angeles home, saying they fought off an alleged stalker with pepper spray. We take a deep dive into celebrity stalking cases with former SWAT and Sheriff Deputy Chad Ayers. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Gillespie. YouTube personality Jenna Marbles had a strange and volatile encounter. It's been reported that a stalker showed up at the Los Angeles home of Marbles and her new husband, Julian Solomita. Apparently, this unidentified woman was looking for Solomita. She showed up twice, and whatever happened, Solomita ended up pepper spraying her both times. She was then taken to the hospital, and she will face a felony stalking charge. Now, at the time this all went down, Marbles was apparently upstairs in her home. But unfortunately for celebrities, stalking is not an uncommon occurrence. So let's bring in former SWAT and Sheriff Deputy Chad Ayers to give us more insight. Chad, thank you again for stopping by Sidebar.
Absolutely. It's great to be back.
Okay, so let's start with the basics with Solomita's reaction to this alleged stalker. He pepper sprayed her. Is that within his rights?
100%. If he can justify and articulate why he felt threatened, which from the sounds of this, 100% he can. You've got a crazy stalker, a fan that is repeatedly coming to your house. Obviously, he felt that him and his wife's life was in danger, or at least some type of harm was going to be done. You could absolutely, justify pepper spraying someone to get them away, to protect yourself and to protect your family.
But let's also point out here that celebrity addresses can be public, so it's not totally crazy for someone to know where they're living. Does that make the actions justified too?
No, absolutely not. Because at the end of the day, look, I in fact ran into a situation like this back in 2018 when I was doing some TV work where there's these public sites out there where they can type in your name. And it was a Saturday morning. There was a knock on my door. I had no clue who this person was. And then they told me, hey, look, I found you online through this website. It absolutely terrified me that those resources are out there. So again, once you tell someone, I wouldn't say, that there's a trespassing charge initially when someone, public knowledge, you come knock on someone's door. But at that moment where you say, hey, you're not welcome here, you need to leave, and they don't, now we've turned this into a trespassing and then more into a stalking charge by the repeated pattern that took place there that day.
Oh, yeah, that's so scary that people can just look things up online and find you so easily. So how can something like this be prevented?
Well, that's a great question. So there are ways that I encourage friends, family to go online, and some of these searches like fastpeoplesearch.com and these public websites, you can actually put your information in and request that it be taken down. And usually it's done within about 24 to 48 hours. So knock on wood now, I think, you Google, you can't really find much of me or my family's information out there. It is in today's day and age where we are seeing people, utilize the internet for all sorts of things. I think it's smart that if you don't want your public stuff, information out there, go in there and have it taken down.
And as a celebrity, I mean, people know where you are. They follow you on social media. They track. People are pretty savvy. So do you think a good suggestion for them is maybe like a security system, or if they have the budget to hire people to be there as security, things like that?
Yeah, well, 100%. And coming from my background and now, owning a company where we do executive protection work for high-end, political figures or celebrities, I tell them all the time, most of these celebrities are stuck to their phone and on social media all the time. But it's really important that we, shut down. And it really, honestly, it doesn't matter if you're a celebrity status or a homeowner. Don't be posting, hey, this is where I'm at. I'm on vacation down here in Mexico, wherever, because that even gives a normal day-to-day criminal the chance to know, oh, wait, you're not at home. This is a perfect time to break into your residence. But, with my hiring clients, I make sure that their locations are turned off, that they're not posting. If they want to post, their vacation photos, we wait until they're back at their primary residence or back away from the vacation. And that just limits, the media and paparazzi from overwhelming them while they're trying to enjoy, a vacation and time away.
That's a really good point for anyone listening, really, to remember to post those photos later because, yeah, that could be a target for your home when you're away.
I think we've seen even yesterday with the Idaho murder suspect, they're tracking planes now. They were, I saw, how many hundreds of thousands of people were able to see the tail number on that plane, and they tracked that plane. Elon Musk, we've been dealing with that the past few weeks of him talking about his private plane being tracked. So it is. I think it's just important to know that, unfortunately, there are people out here that get into stalking and get infatuated with certain people, and they want to know where you are at all times. It's actually very creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy. So let's get back to that, the stalking element, which you were just talking about. How do investigators work to prove that someone is being stalked?
Great question. So in South Carolina, the stalking statute states basically it's a pattern of words, conduct of any form that has no true purpose and is done in the basically with the intent to inflict or make a person feel like they are threatened by death, assault, bodily injury, criminal sexual conduct, kidnapping, or property damage. So if you can prove that it's not just physical, it could be an email, it could be text, any type of communication that makes someone feel in that type of way. It's kind of a broad charge, to be honest with you, that encompasses that. Then they can be charged with stalking. So I think what you're going to see is the repeated pattern. I'm sure in this case there was probably DMs or messages that had been sent to this account. But then this lady shows up at the house. They ask her to leave. She doesn't leave. They pepper spray her. At some point, she comes back soon after, and it's done again. So 100%, I think you've got grounds for stalking at that point. It's just, I want to wait until more information comes out on this to find out, was law enforcement originally dispatched the first time, or was it the second time that she came out that law enforcement was dispatched? So there's still, some unknowns that I don't want to speak on until we get all the facts in there.
Yeah, that's a good point. We are working to get more information, so we'll see what comes out. But as far as the next steps for these people or anybody who's involved in stalking, is the next step then to get a restraining order, or is there anything else they can do to feel kind of protected or safe?
It is. It all goes back to situational awareness and being situationally aware of your surroundings. There's a model called Cooper's Colors, and it's basically 4 levels of awareness. Condition white, where you're relaxed and unaware. We don't want to be in that situation at all until we're, in bed about to go to sleep. Then you got condition yellow, where you're relaxed and aware. That's where we should be most of the time of our life. Relaxed but aware of our surroundings. And then you can move down to condition orange, where you've perceived a threat and you're ready to act. And that may be de-escalation through words. That may be, retreating, running away. That may be physical force. And then condition red, where there is a threat and you've got to be ready to act. So in today's age where we are so, on our phones 24/7, that's what gets us in trouble, is not paying attention to our surroundings. So moving forward, I definitely think that you're probably going to have a temporary type of security detail on this family for a little while. And, again, security systems, camera systems, don't post your location. Just be very careful about what information you are putting out there, because I feel like we put way too much personal information out there on a day-to-day basis that makes it easy for these perpetrators to find out who we are. Thank God it was just, and I hate to downplay this, but just a crazy fan wanting to see this person, because this could have turned out a lot worse. We saw that in 2021, where a 13-year-old TikTok influencer started being stalked by an 18-year-old boy. She was down in Florida. I think he was in Maryland. Started asking for inappropriate photos. The parents stepped in and say, hey, this girl's underage. He still had an infatuation. Drove from Maryland to Florida, found out her residence through, again, one of these open source websites, finds out her address, shows up, starts shooting a pistol through the front door of their home. And the dad uses deadly force, returns fire, and unfortunately this kid dies over just wanting to chase down someone who's famous. So again, this one turned out, just with pepper spray. It's important for people to really think about the consequences before they start doing this.
Yeah, and I think especially in this day and age, we feel so close to celebrities. I mean, we watch them when we're in our homes and they show us when they're in their homes. So it's easy for people to feel extra connected, but it's sometimes important to remember we don't actually know these people. But for a lot of millennials, the name Jenna Marbles, it's something that they know. At one point, she had 2 million YouTube subscribers at her peak. But actually, what's interesting here is that she took a break from YouTube back in 2020. So 3 years ago now. So, is this a stalking concern even for celebrities who were once in the public eye and then leave?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that when certain fans get infatuated with certain people, they don't go away. I mean, we've seen this in LA, we've seen it in Hollywood, where some of these fans are just so wrapped up in these people where they cannot let it go, and it's actually a mental illness. At the end of the day, let's be honest. We have a mental illness crisis across this country right now, and different people act out in that mental illness in different ways. So I don't think whether you take a break or not, people that battle mental illness and want to meet you or see you or whatever will go to extreme measures. And I think, the normal day-to-day level thinking person understands that, and coming from the background that I am and the people that I've had the privilege to stand over their shoulder over the last several years, they want to be able to live their life too. They want to be able to walk outside and go grab a cup of coffee. And, you hear people say, well, hey, this just comes with stardom. It really shouldn't at the end of the day. There should be a level of respect that we have for individuals and their privacy, especially for their children, for their spouses, their location, their tag numbers, things like that. This is just common sense. And if you overstep the line, there's consequences to that.
Yeah, I think that's really important to remember too. Everyone deserves to be able to feel safe in their own home. Chad, thank you so much for joining us today and bringing us great insight as always.
Sierra, thanks for having me.
Thanks, everyone. You can watch and listen to Law&Crime Sidebar podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you listen. I'll see you next time.
Hey there, everybody. Jesse Weber here from the Law&Crime Network. On our next episode of Prime Crime, it is an eerie one. A woman named Emily Noble suddenly vanishes out in Ohio, and the spotlight is on the husband, Matthew Moore. Investigators hone in on a potential motive, odd behavior, and his questionable comments to authorities.
Okay, so what's going on?
She's uncharacteristically missing.
When investigators finally discover Emily's body, that's when the whole case changes, but maybe not the way that you think.
I think she hurt herself.
How do you think she hurt herself?
If she was going to do it, she would hang herself.
Tune into Prime Crime on Friday, January 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Law&Crime Network.